And now, our feature presentation. Hey guys, I'm Scarfy.
I'm Naka.
And I'm Bruce.
And welcome to Subwoofer Entertainment, a determinedly drunk, geeky, and cheerful podcast where wolves we house and extremely entertain, bringing you all latest entertainment news. Sets a lot of comics appreciation class to talk about what's going on in certain topics and see how people react to them in certain ways. How are we all doing today on this fine, quarantined afternoon?
It's the big weed day tomorrow, and I'm not going to be able to get high.
You do realize that weed is actually more expensive tomorrow than it is actually cheap, right?
Well, yeah, they got to mark it up for all their sales.
I meant so. It's like Black Friday. I guess you call it Green Monday. I don't know. We're sort of planning on it, or at least my sister's told me she's planning on it. So I'm like, well, might as well. You know, smoke a bit.
Yeah.
Got him.
I've never done weed in my life, so I wouldn't really be able to tell you. So
Neither have I. I'm just fucking around.
So yeah, it's been a very interesting week for me. I've been playing nothing but Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I'm not gonna lie.
Homework.
I'm doing homework and trying to beat the game because I'm like at the very last stretch, and I just really want to. I'm loving playing the game. I can't recommend this game enough. It's really good.
That's another feeling. It's like I stayed up way too late trying to beat one section because in Doom the segments or the level segments are longer, and there's one or I'm just like, I have to get, please be the end of this.
Yeah, I stayed up at it's funny. I stayed up like 4 a.m. just playing Final Fantasy VII Remake because I'm just loving the game. So a lot of schedules are going out of whack. I don't know about you guys, but my internal clock is like so bad right now. Yeah. I have to
that's what kind of common, I guess, or thing that people are experiencing.
Meh. I'm just staying up later and sleeping in later. I'm on a sleep schedule. I'm not waking up at 4 p.m. like some people are.
Yeah, I am gonna
schedules.
Yeah, I am gonna be probably investing in a whole different mic. I just want to make that clear to you guys, ladies and gentlemen. A whole different mic with a arm and a little shock pot, a little, what do you call it, shock wave or whatever? I don't know, shock mount and all that other stuff. That's a little unprofessional of me. Anyway, guys, Set has been brought to you by Streamlabs. We are a non-profit podcast, but we use this as our go-to for making more episodes and help them be bigger and better than ever before by purchasing equipment or other visual means. Please don't feel obligated. We are not asking for money to pay the rent, but if you have the heart to donate, it is greatly appreciated.
I mean, aren't there rent moratoriums going on right now? Supposedly.
Wait. Could you say that again?
Aren't there rent moratoriums going on right now, supposedly?
Rent moratoriums?
Where, states have ordered, please, landlords cannot force people to pay their rent in these trying times.
I've heard they're freezing it. I don't know if
they're freezing it, basically. They're freezing the payment.
So you just live as you are, I imagine.
Yeah, you're not required to pay it. I don't know because I don't pay rent.
You're not required to pay rent right now, but you will be required to pay rent in the near future.
Yeah, because when everything opens back up, people will be getting back to work and they'll be able to afford to pay rent.
Yeah, so all that money they've had to literally save up, which I do kind of feel for them. It's just sitting in their bank account waiting to be paid.
Yeah. YouTube news. Only recently has YouTube decided, hey, you can talk about the thing that you couldn't talk about before and actually name it what it's supposed to be, and you won't get demonetized. But we're still going to call it the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
I'll just call it. Can I just call it the Crisis? The Crisis is better.
And also, I feel like this was now being more enforced. It seems like, but yeah, YouTube decided to make the default 480p because of bandwidth, or was more people obviously are home. There are more people are watching YouTube more often. So I guess if the little HD doesn't appear on the gear for you, just if you want to watch in HD. You'll have to be more conscious about it now.
Yeah.
You can still watch it in HD, but it's default 480.
Pretty much.
It makes sense. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, a lot of the bandwidth is probably
I just don't like having it default to crusty 144p.
Oh, back in the days, I was watching some Is It a Good Idea to Microwave This last night, going on this down memory lane, and
Yes,
I
when
see the top.
240p was top quality.
Yeah, that was top quality.
Wait,
At 12.
144p.
Yes.
I mean, this was far and away an upgrade over 144p.
Well, guys, I think it's best that we get started with our agenda today. It's going to be a very short one, thankfully. But anyway, Cruz, we have some bad news, don't we?
Yeah. So this, I think it was this. No, I found out on Wednesday, but this past Sunday. Before I begin with music, I'll start there. I would like to honor a fellow Maryland fur who has sadly passed away a week ago. Today was last Sunday. His name is Indy Wolfie, aka Ryan. He was relentlessly positive person. I met him a bunch of times, and even including one time in a Ravens game. Not no super close friend, but it was a good friend, and I don't think that not being a close friend takes away from it at all, because you don't often, there's not many people you have really deep friendships with. That's like a select few, and that's just how things happen. And yeah, as a fellow Ravens fan, as far as I saw it, we were already brothers of the Ravens flock as it stood. And what I remember about him is he also always insisted on giving the biggest bear hug that a wolf could possibly give, and I never ran into him without getting one. And so I just cracked open a whitetail Hefeweizen von True Respite, and here is a toast to you, Indy Wolfie. We will miss you, buddy, and go Ravens.
And I guess I'll talk about it when we get around to my stuff. That there's two notable deaths in the motorsport world occurred this week, and it's quite shocking.
Yeah, this one was also, well, the shock of this one was because I had not, as I found out what happened, he apparently it was, first of all, it was not Backstreet related. It was due to complications after he was bitten by a spider, is what his latest tweet said. So
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what everyone's still we're still respecting privacy and waiting for, well, they said they're waiting for autopsy results and to see what in toxicology and imagine what actually happened because spiders give you danger. Brown recluse, it will mess you up big time. And if there's anything else going on, then it will make it that much worse. And I imagine that's maybe what happened, but he did. I heard he went in his sleep, which I guess is comforting some people. Yeah, I don't want to bog down it too much, but I did want to mention that and just say that I was despondent when I found out, and I just wanted to be alone the whole day. But I had a little time to process and think about everything, and I wish all Maryland Furs and Indy's friends and family all the best in this time, and hopefully they will be able to arrange some memorial service, because obviously meeting up is not really achievable right now, so that's what we'll have to wait and see about. But yes, that is, I'll
Just
stop
get
rambling
on a Zoom
now.
conference, have a drink, and throw up a lighter or something. I don't know.
Yes.
I actually have to install Zoom because I was supposed to have a counselor meeting on Tuesday, but can't do that right now. So I have to actually install Zoom because I don't have it installed on my computer, because unlike Cruz and Scarfy, I don't have college courses to attend right now because unfortunately they were canceled on Monday. Yeah, I haven't had the best week, but I don't want to get into it.
Yours were straight up canceled. Mine, different professors had different levels of preparation, and it's so far sort of working. It's just you have to read stuff, post discussion questions, and that's it. But Um, thing something's gonna change with one of the courses, but it really came at a bad time because this is when I have to graduate. But yeah, so let's get started with some music. And they're actually a little on the nose on one of these, but first we're going to sail away with AWOL Nation, with the Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders, possibly referring to Metallica's second album, my personal favorite. This band is doing things. Apparently, they'd been inactive for a little while. Not inactive in the studio. I mean, as you've noted, has happened with other bands like Tool and Rammstein and others. So, Al Amler, as I'm going to call the album, has 4 songs already. The best. No, get that on loop forever. California Halo Blue, Mayday Fiesta Fever, and Slam Angel Miners. I don't know much about why it's Slam with Angel Miners in parentheses, but I suppose that's trying to connect it back to the album title. Whatever. The rest will arrive on April 24th. Not really my kind of stuff. I mean, I don't hate Sail. I don't even mind stuff like this, like light electronic mainstream rock kind of stuff that much, but it doesn't really pique my interest. But obviously this is a popular group and there will be quite a few fans happily awaiting this album. I've seen briefly browsing the comments on one of the videos that they're quite pleased, as they should be, because it's always a relief when a long drought comes to an end. Still waiting on you, System of a Down, but we'll see where that goes.
I did listen to the song. I really enjoyed what it was saying. Don't know if I have much to say regarding it, but I am glad that I did listen to it because, I liked what it had to offer. Naka?
If you want a TLDR, it's AWOL Nation. You can't go wrong with AWOL Nation. They have somewhat of a distinct style, as with Sail and Run. And it's like it's the AWOL Nation style.
I had to remind Cruz that there's actually one other song that involves sailing. And I
remembered it. I'm like, Sail. I'm like, wait, what? And then you're like, oh, sail away. Oh, sail away.
Sail away with me.
Seriously though, that intro piano, that piano intro to that song is fucking brilliant. I love that so much. But hey,
hey, that is neither here nor there because that's quite trivial if you ask me.
I knew what you were going with that.
You want to hear a bad pun from? So Jared Dines obviously has been. I don't know if you watch Jared Dines, you will know this. He's friends with Matt from Trivium, which is the next announcement. And they did a thing where they would tell each other jokes and see who laughed, and they were just all cringe. But one of them that Matt said was like, "What do you call when you're very confused at trivia?" Trivium. Yeah, it's that bad. But this album is What the Dead Men Say. And it picks up pretty much right where the sin in the sentence left off. And it's Trivium's second album with Alex, the Octopus Bent on drums. And if you just watch a video of him playing drums and you'll understand what I mean, because you see his arms are just everywhere, just flailing, hitting like 6 different cymbals in like an amount of like maybe 3 seconds. And I think that so far the songs they released indicate this sounds it's right up there with Sin in the Sentence, although Shogun will of course always be my favorite, as that is a distinct sect of the Trivium fan base, those who maintain that Shogun is the best album, because that's when their everything was thrashy, clean, tight play, and epic songs. A lot of them about Greek mythology, interestingly enough. So there's Catastrophist, which premiered a few weeks ago. The title track with the Dead Men Say, which is very, very awesome tune and features insane drums, of course, because that's what Alex Ben does. And a few days ago, the song Amongst the Shadows and Stones was added, and I linked that because it was the most recent. So the only question remaining is, what do the Dead Men say? Trivium will reveal that answer on April 24th, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing the rest of this album.
What do you have to say regarding this song choice, Naka?
All right,
That was a
I want
word.
to get something out of the way. When I see the title to this album, I just keep being reminded of the songs like "Remember What the Doorman Said." And I'm just like, "Remember what the dead man
I don't know the song.
said in your head," something along those lines. But Trivium, sounds trivial, and you might get it wrong in a trivia question, but it's always good to be trivial about Trivium. I don't know. Too many trivia puns. But, it's always nice to see Trivium make another album because Trivium's awesome.
Yeah, that reminds me a little bit of one of the other jokes was, how many Trivium fans does it take to change a light bulb? The answer
50.
is 10. One to do it, and the nine others to tell you that Shogun is the best album. Yeah, you understand, like, that's a kind of deal. It's like, but Shogun's the best. It's like, yeah, we get it. It was the best. But then there are others. But the best. The best. The best. Don't get stuck in that feedback loop. Yeah,
No,
April
do not get
24th.
stuck in the Dave Grohl the best feedback loop.
I love that. And it's just going the whole song, and like the music changes, but it's the same energies. You don't stop coming. Oh boy, we're getting into the grapes now. But we leave the music realm.
And into something a bit interesting. Because I haven't really talked about this on a previous couple shows, but in lieu of sports not being around during the Backstreet Boys reunion tour, iRacing and NASCAR have come together for the eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series. And a couple weeks ago, there was some controversy where driver Bubba Wallace lost his sponsor from Blue Emu because he was wrecked about 3 times in the first 20 laps and quit the race. So he lost his sponsorship over Twitter, and then that was a whole debacle of whether sim racing is getting too serious or not. And then we move into something that I'm going to tread lightly on.
Someone did a fucky wucky and has to go into the forever box.
And now the news. And we start off with some bad news. Kyle Larson has been fired from Chip Ganassi Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series after using a big no-no racial slur word on a live stream on April 12th, 2020. A NASCAR driver has been fired from his job for, something that he didn't even do at a racetrack or in the car. During an event dubbed Monza Madness, which saw upwards of 60 drivers competing in NASCAR Cup Series cars and iRacing that was streamed on NASCAR's YouTube channel, courtesy of Podium Esports. Thank you, Papa Cisco. Thankfully, this was not broadcast on the official stream, but, other drivers were streaming it. And with iRacing, you can talk to each other through the voice chat. It's shit quality. I'll just put it at that. And while trying to get in touch with his spotter who was having audio issues, and he was having audio issues, didn't realize that he was on a public channel. And it's like, you can't hear me? And then, hey, and then I'm not going to say it because it's bad. And, other drivers were just like, oh my God, did he just say that? It's like, he did. Another driver said, it's like, yeah, Kyle, you're broadcasting on a public channel. We all heard that. Yikes. And one of the drivers who was streaming it, Connor Daly, has had issues in the past because his dad used the same word 37 years ago, and he lost sponsorship for a race in 2018, but that's another story for another day.
He lost it because his dad said something?
His dad said something when he was living in Ireland at the time, because his dad's Irish-American, and that word means something else in Ireland. I thought that he was saying something like, "Hey, for shorthand for Parker Kligerman is Kliger. I don't even want to say it out loud in case it gets tagged." But after listening to it a couple more times on clear streams, yeah, he said the big no word. Let's just say that Twitter was on fire on Easter Sunday.
He hard it, and also that happened. This wasn't really something I wanted to talk about with music, but the singer of Trapped got into some Twitter fights about, and some no stuff went about, and so that just was a thing that happened. So.
But let's see.
Happens all over the place.
After Twitter was literally set on fire on Sunday night, the next morning, so last Monday, the 13th of April, I had woken up to him being banned from iRacing, suspended from NASCAR until he attends sensitivity training, along with the World of Outlaws, which is dirt racing, and he had been suspended from Chip Ganassi Racing without pay, but he was still a part of the organization. Throughout the day, his sponsors like Clover, Credit One Bank, McDonald's, Lucas Oil, and Chevrolet all basically suspended their sponsorships with Kyle Larson, leading to Chip Ganassi having to fire Kyle Larson. It was basically a situation of, we'll stay with you, but we're not staying with your driver.
Who's Chip Ganassi?
Chip Ganassi is the team owner of Chip Ganassi Racing. Who
is he? He's part of NASCAR.
Part of NASCAR and part of IndyCar.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Chip Ganassi's hands were tied, and he had to release Kyle Larson. And Kyle Larson had adamantly apologized, and it was quite somber. He felt awful about what happened. So he's right now unemployed. But thankfully, Kyle Larson does own a dirt racing team in the World of Outlaws. They're able to continue operations. He just can't drive right now. But what does that lead for iRacing and other esports? I'm not sure. I didn't check today because there was actually an eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series race today at Richmond, which was it was a lot better than Bristol a couple weeks ago. So get that squared away. So I haven't really seen the effects of it, but definitely iRacing will be in more control of driver chats, voice chat, because I know in the IndyCar side they have been muting drivers who are getting a little raunchy because they're there to put on a show. And it's all an exhibition. But I'm not done. I'm almost done.
Go ahead.
The thing with this though is that people are now using this incident to scapegoat NASCAR fans as racist and hicks, which, because NASCAR came out of the 40s and 50s from good old boys in the South doing bootlegging. And, there's only one current African-American. Actually, Jesse Iwuji in the Truck Series competes from time to time, so I'd say there's two active African-American drivers. And this move kind of really set the sport back a long time. Because, racial tension, it's 2020. An incident like this will definitely send any sport backwards. But, Kyle Larson, he not only talked to Bubba Wallace, who's a current Cup Series driver, is African-American, and Willie T. Ribbs, who is a African-American SCCA driver who had to deal with racism during his driving days, and one of the only African-Americans to qualify for the Indy 500 and IndyCar, who both have said that Kyle Larson was genuinely sorry, that he made a mistake, but that, he needs to learn to get this word out of his vocabulary, and it's a bump in the road for his career, but they have said that, he deserves a second chance, and honestly, that's all we can do at this point is hope that he's able to recover from this in a couple years' time and have a career resurgence like Kurt Busch has had in the past couple years.
That makes sense.
Go
ahead.
So I wrote a ton of stuff for this, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do like a Cliff Notes version and condense stuff and cut out some of the stuff that might get us in trouble because there's a lot of information in here. If you want to see somebody who's covered this subject better than I can, because I'm not necessarily the best at writing scripts and everything like that, David Land has a couple of videos on this topic, whether it be just the initial incident and then him being fired, and then his most recent This Week in Racing covers kind of the fallout and backlash and also response from Willie T. Ribbs and Bubba Wallace. But that's where I'm going to leave it. Scarfia Cruz, do you have anything to say about this?
I think.
This kind of reminds. Oh well, I was gonna say, this kind of reminds me of that one incident where I don't know if you heard what happened, but this one, I guess you could say gamer girl called KC Tron, she got banned from Twitch indefinitely because she said that she would want to spread the crisis as much as possible, because it would get rid of the old and poor people. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really shitty thing to say. But and she got banned from Twitch like indefinitely for saying it. And when it comes to this, it's like, I mean, he did say the word, and I do think he does have to own up in a way, but at the same time, it's like, it is, we are kind of in a situation where we do have to be accountable for what we say, and
it's also extra shocking because he came up through the ranks in NASCAR through NASCAR's Drive for Diversity program because he is Asian American. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's
So
it is that.
Mm-hmm.
I see more and more that, and this isn't like him saying it is shocking, but as you like based on how you said it, but the fallout is not shocking because now it's more. You say like, because if it was something someone else got banned for something that ad said, it's like more of your life and public image. It more and more weighs heavily on your job, especially if you are I guess for lack of a better word, celebrity, or you're representing a brand. That is something that's very important. Like, you cannot misbehave, even if it's not or on a platform, or in basically it extends the rest of your life. Because if it gets out that you said something either very offensive, racist, or whatever, then it's very possible your career may essentially be over. This it's unfortunate, I guess, that Larson has, of course, instead of doubling down like some people might, addressed it, expressed remorse, and reached out to, I don't know if it was he reached out to them or they reached out to him, or if it was just mutual.
Both. It was both.
To the American drivers.
Willie T. Ribbs himself said that, if I believed he was a racist, I wouldn't have called him about this situation. So
makes sense.
And more tragic, and also some rather unfortunate tragic news that doesn't revolve around Kyle Larson, but unfortunately, Bob Lazier of the Lazier family, who's famous in IndyCar, and Sir Sterling Moss, excuse me, I didn't want to desecrate his name, both passed away this week, both prolific racers in their own right. And, I can't really say how they died, but, they were up there in age. I think Sir Sterling Moss was in his 90s and Bob Lazier was 81. So, they lived long lives. They did what they loved for a long time, and I wish their families the best. But now, good news.
Yes,
it's the Dacia Sandero. No, I you know what I was hoping one of you guys. I wrote in here. I wanted one of you two to just shout what.
Yeah, what?
So let's do this again. I want to do this gag right. Good news.
What?
It's the Dacia Sandero. Oh, wait.
Nailed it.
SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, Rehydrated, and Burnout Paradise Remastered Switchport both have release dates of June 23rd and June 19th, respectively.
we'll talk about SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom when we get to the release date,
Yes.
if we get to it. But yeah. Anyway,
We'll all be dead.
not a
And-
lot of not a lot of video games this week, huh?
No, there was one that you wanted me to talk about, but it's a Japanese only release.
That is now getting an American. Yeah, that was kind of silly, but hey.
Yeah, it's like, well, I
Here's this nice thing that you can't have.
Yeah, it's called Boku Hime Project, and I'm not sure if this is like the first mainstream game to like have a cross-dressing character prevalent, or because
To have one, I know. To have one prevalent, maybe.
as like the main character is a cross-dresser.
There may be some more. I'm of the mindset there might be some more obscure like indie games that might have done something like that, but I guess first major game to that.
Yeah, I mean,
Probably.
technically, it's not the first instance of a character cross-dressing because there's Sheik and Zelda, but this was basically the premise of Boku Hime Project was the main character's sister was murdered at an all-girls school, and he has to cross-dress and basically,
Infiltrate the
dress up
compound.
as a girl to investigate what happened to his sister.
Well,
So
Thor
it's-
had to do that to get his hammer back.
I mean, yeah. And, but we move on to the Trials of Mana 3D remake.
Hooray!
Looks like we peasants finally get an official Trials of Mana localization, but that came out in 2019 in the Collection of Mana. But this is the 3D remake, so I was confused writing this. So I'm just like, wait, what the fuck? Am I talking about the game that's already come out, or is this a 3D? Oh, it's the 3D remake. Okay.
Wait, is it a 3D remake? I thought
Yeah,
Trials
this
of Mana. I thought Trials of Mana didn't come out until just now.
No, this is a 3D remake. Collection of Mana came out June of last year. That had
But
Trials of Mana localized in
Wait,
its
really?
original style.
Let me check just so that we're on the same page, because I thought this was a completely from scratch thing. Okay, known in Japan.
I mean, maybe the story the same, or is it just based on the universe?
No, this is the 3D remake of Trials of Mana.
Collection of Mana. Okay, yeah. So it was released worldwide on June 11th. Okay,
That was
last year.
the 3D port,
Yeah.
or that was the 2D version, and the 3D remake is coming out. Well, it's going to come out when it comes out, but I need to look this up for myself because I remember.
Yeah, I already looked it up. It came
Yeah.
out worldwide on June 11th, 2018. So
Yes,
last year.
but Trials of Mana actually has two Wikipedia pages because there's the regular version, which was Senkai Densetsu 3, and then there's also the 2020 video game page. And this is coming out-
Seiken, not Senkai, but continue.
I'm sorry, I was just like, whatever. Anyway, the story takes place in a fictional world where mana represents an ethereal but finite energy source. Sometime in the past, the mana goddess created the game's world by forging the powerful Sword of Mana and defeating 8 monsters of destructions. The Benevodons, god beasts in earlier translations, with it, sealing them within 8 mana stones before turning herself into the mana tree and falling asleep. The game is set at a time when mana starts to fade and peace is ended as several people plot to unleash the Benevodons from the stones so as to gain ultimate power. The game is not a direct The game is not a direct sequel to the events of Secret of Mana, according to series director creator Koichi Ishii in 2006. The Mana games do not take place in exactly the same world, and characters or elements who appear in different games are best considered alternate versions of each other. Instead, the connections between each title are more abstract than story-based. Despite this statement, Heroes of Mana, which came out in 2007, is a direct prequel to Trials of Mana, taking place 19 years before Trials of Mana's story, but Secret of Mana, which was the first game in this trilogy, isn't like a direct thing, direct prequel, sequel, whatever the fuck. It's confusing.
Yeah.
So there was interest from Square and Squaresoft back in '95 to, release Trials of Mana out in the West, and there was supposedly Secrets of Evermore in development, which was supposed to be Secret of Mana sequel, but it had nothing to do with the Mana series. And 22 years later, we got clarification. After the Collection of Mana release in Japan in 2017, Square Enix got word that overseas fans were wanting Trials of Mana to come out, much less the trilogy of games. The original Collection of Mana came out worldwide in June 11th, 2019, but this is not a standard 2D release. This is a ground-up 3D remake of Trials of Mana, according to Nintendo's official website. Trials of Mana is the 3D remake of the hit classic RPG released in 1995 as Seiken Densetsu 3. The original game released in Japan only for the Super Famicom, which is the Japanese Super Nintendo. This daring tale of overcoming tests of fate has been given new life. Experience the beloved adventure in fully modernized, with graphic improvements, character voiceover support, a remastered soundtrack, and a new episode, which is DLC, in which you can experience after the ending, in addition to an ability system, a new class that reconstructs the character leveling system, plus more active battles. The overlapping story of interwoven destinies changes depending on who you choose as your main character and companions. Will these young adventurers be able to use the power of mana to save the world from the brink of destruction? Also, receive the Rabbite Adornment DLC to gain more experience after battles up to level 10. Available until May 21st, 2020. Well, at the end of the day, this is the 3D remake of Trials of Mana, releasing on the Switch, PC, and PS4 on April 24th, 2020.
Oh. So, I have not played... I tried playing the Secret of Mana series, the Secret of Mana, the game that a lot of people talk about, and for whatever reason, and I can't understand why, a lot of people think it's a great game. I can't get into it as much as people can. It's weird. It's odd. Like I can't find myself really enjoying this game more than really enjoying this game, because I know that the Mana series is very well loved by a lot of people, but it's just I can't get into it, and I don't understand why. But hey, at least we're getting a remake, and I can only hope that for the Mana series we'll actually get a full-blown sequel, which we haven't gotten in a while, but we'll just have to wait and see. And that's all I have to say for Secret of Mana. Sorry, not Secret of Mana, Trials of Mana, rather. Cruz, what do you have to say?
Mixing all these sort of semi-generic Japanese JRPG titles. A brief look at this. I think I had vaguely known that Trials of Mana, or the Mana thing, it was a thing. I got Link's Awakening as a gift. I still haven't started it, but I will do that. And I'm still working on stuff. I don't know about this one. I mean, it does look like a well-made or remade kind of RPG game, and I imagine that they're not one and the same. They're not. It's not you played one, you played them all, but you can definitely identify the patterns among them. And I think that I don't know, if people are really into JRPGs, then they should find this one pretty welcoming. I'm glad a lot of games are now coming to Switch. I mean, depending on the game, I'll get on either Xbox or Switch, but yeah, you're definitely seeing a lot more of them come to Switch to make them more available and more portable too.
Yeah. But hey, what's your opinion on the Mana series as a whole, Naka?
I mean, again, I don't do JRPGs outside of Pokemon because I grew up with Pokemon.
I gotta get you into Final Fantasy. I gotta get you into Final Fantasy, dude. It's so good.
Dude, I love the games. I can't play them. I don't have the patience for most JRPGs, okay? I'm sorry. I love to watch them and watch my friends play them. I can't do it.
I understand. But hey, if you ever want to play Final Fantasy VII, it is on Steam, and I'll gladly stream it for you if you ever get the chance.
Yeah.
If you
And I don't want to shit on JRPG fans or really any game fans, because Play what you want to play. Watch what you want to watch. I don't give a fuck. Just because I
Right.
don't like playing them and I can't get into JRPGs doesn't mean I think that they're shit games. Because they're beautifully well done. I mean, I've been watching, like, I've watched up to like 200 hours of like 3 of my friends play Persona 5, like so far. And Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal, because it's, you know, I would never want to play this, but I love watching it.
I still know nothing about how Persona works, but yeah. If I get into it, if I ever do, then I imagine it'll be like there's 2 kind of frames of mind I have. There's one where it's like I actually can't get into it because it's either too not really grabbing my attention or it's too slow. And then there's the fear that if I do get involved in it, then I will be, you know, in that mode for the next like 4 months and I will not be able to play any other game.
I definitely see what you mean there. Well, guys, is that it for video games?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well,
We've only been going for 40 minutes and 2/3 of our show is gone.
I know because
Yeah,
we don't
the
really
Backstreet
have.
Boys reunion tour is really throwing a wrench into our whole show.
It really has.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah, but we can't dodge a virus. That's something we can't dodge.
Has that movie aged well? I don't think it has.
I don't. It's still, to me, it's still funny, but I don't know.
Yeah, there may be some jokes that haven't really aged well, but considering when it was made, those jokes were like, I'm digging myself into a rabbit hole here, aren't I?
Stinky.
Yeah.
And
See, that's the
that's
thing
what
with older movies. They were able to say like stuff that you can't say anymore. It's, you know, in context of when it was written, it's funny, but like you put in context of now, it's not. And it's like, oh, you shouldn't watch this movie anymore because of this, this, and this. It's a rabbit hole, okay?
Like, I'm like, dude, like, well, first off, if you're gonna say that about a movie, it's be like, okay, yeah, they said some no-no words, but it's not Birth of a Nation. It's not blatant racist propaganda. And also about movies aging well. I don't think that like saying the words that you can't really say anymore. I mean, I watched there was a French movie Mr. Batignolles about a man in Vichy, France in World War II who ends up not really by much choice of his own, just because he's looking after some neighbors' kids and some other kids come over, and then eventually there's like 10 kids, and then he's like, well, what the fuck do I do? And when he's trying to weasel his way out of something with an SS officer, he says the K word, but it's in French. So, but it's an older movie, but it's also like you're reflecting like he was using that language to kind of like make himself look like that the Germans would sympathize with him. That's, you know, understand in context, that's the reasoning for saying that. But
yeah,
I don't think that is a condition of not aging well, because I mean, I just talked about this and with a person who was black, and they did agree that first of all, like, here's this whole joke about like, oh, say the N-word. No, it's like, but the K word, that is something you do not say. If you say that, your career is definitely over. So I don't think that the word thing is like about aging well, even though like it's kind of just aged out of like society's vocabulary it was really almost never really acceptable.
Cruz.
What?
You're babbling a little bit.
I'm babbling. Yeah.
We've already kind of talked about this situation earlier.
And then there's the side of things that are just the jokes that aren't funny anymore. I guess the ones that didn't age well are Adam Sandler movies. Maybe some of them did.
Yes, because a deer breaking into your house and peeing on your face is totally funny. Am I right, guys? It's so funny.
I would say maybe the exception is Longest Yard, because I still find that kind of funny.
Anyway, so is that it for your
yes,
segment?
that's it.
That's it.
Are you going to
go on, talk about your movies that are and are not coming out?
Yeah, I'm still here. I guess we can go ahead and talk about something that has been on my mind. Since the crisis has continued to wreak havoc in areas, it was recently last week that the film Trolls World Tour, a film that was scheduled for a release in theaters, released for the first time on video on demand. Arguably the first film without an intended theatrical release to do so. Since there are currently no numbers available for box office records, and we can only go by the amount of news articles that are regarding the case, like it or dislike it, reports have been saying that the financial aspects have been roughly successful. Despite box office grosses not being available, this does leave us to an important debate that has been on my mind. Since movie theaters are currently closed for the time being, distribution companies have been setting the price tags for a 48-hour rental fee for $19.99. On one part, it makes sense for families, as people who don't have to spend a whole lot of money on tickets and concessions items such as popcorn on soda. On the other part, I don't really like it.
They're finding other ways to nickel and dime you.
For one, I'm an individual, and I'm paying for a fee that usually I would only have to pay for if I was buying the physical or digital copy of the movie that I can watch anytime I want. Not only that, this also increases the likelihood for piracy if it hasn't increased already, and if I wanted to watch it, I could easily go torrent the film if I wanted to. This also brings up the question whether or not movie theaters are going to be gone and people are going to be using streaming or video on demand from now on. This begs the question as to whether or not this works, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. What do you guys think? Naka?
I mean, why can't we just go reopen up drive-in theaters? Simple. Yeah. It's so simple. Just open up the drive-in theaters. Theaters can still make money. They can still pay their employees.
Still social distancing because you're in a car.
You can still practice social distancing because you're just hanging out in your car with your family. Drive-in theaters should never have died.
I always wanted to go to a drive. I always wanted to go to a drive-in theater and experience what is that like.
I saw one when my dad and I were looking at colleges a few years ago. Took a trip up to Marist, which is in Poughkeepsie, right on the Hudson River, New York, and there was an outdoor drive-in theater. I don't know if it was operational or not, but we saw it there on the way, and I thought that was very cool. And you always see it in other movies, and that's kind of it's something that was lost in time, but it does actually sound like a viable idea now. It's just a matter of getting the funds to do so. And as far as we were actually just talking about this at dinner like last night, that movies my parents or my dad was like how do you think this is going to like just affect everything, and how is it going to change movies and all that? And I was thinking that, well, as long as the distribution rights or that mechanism, as long as that stays intact, I don't think it's going to change much. Although certain distribution companies, I guess the only one that immediately comes to mind is Disney, because of Disney Plus. They release movies also on that platform. And it is kind of a bold choice to release a movie that wasn't intended to be direct to video, which I guess if there's one thing that's positive, this may sort of lessen the stigma that like direct to video or direct to streaming movies are in any way like inherently inferior. Usually the reason for that, and I looked up because I wrote an essay about for theories of religion on Durkheim, based it off of the Mask of Light movie, but Bionicle, and that was direct to DVD. The reason being because it was such a niche thing, it was to such a like direct appeal that it wasn't going to be successful in theaters anyway. Missing out on that success in theaters is something that is probably making the distributors consider that, you know, you don't want to go direct to video because you're missing out on the initial wave of income. But if you announce a movie now, and understand that's going to be like direct to streaming services, that might be different. The ones that were delayed, that one's a little different because people were expecting it and now it's not happening. And now are we going to be able to see it? As far as the price of that thing goes, I'll finish with that. Or just finish a little segment with that. That price is just slightly more than it is to purchase movies on at least Fios on demand. Rental price is about $5. Um,
Well,
so
you also have to keep this in mind. This is a brand new movie that was supposed to come out in theaters.
yeah, that
They're trying to recoup any sort of profit that they would make from ticket sales, which is understandable. I really haven't, I said bring back the drive-in theaters, but my whole point on this is that sure, $20, 48 hours, you get to watch it as many times as you want within that time. Yes, it is a bit expensive, but if you're going to the movie theater and like you have a family of four, say tickets are like 10, $15 each. So if they're $10, you're paying $40 before tax and everything, and that's before concessions, which are marked up so much higher at movie theaters.
a
And
lot of
drinks and
people.
everything like that, and you can't get liquor at most theaters, so there's that too.
there are only a
What
few
are
that
what? Why do people want liquor in movie theaters? I don't
I
get it.
mean,
Some people like having a fucking drink with them when they
people
watch a
have
movie.
there's Cinebistro, or at least in Florida, that has some the thanks retroactively for telling me about the place. There was one nearby where I was living in Budapest, Cinema City. They had just like three beers there, but it's the option to have other things. ArcLight also has a little bar with a little seating area and stuff. You can bring drinks into the theater. It's like
But ArcLight is like for rich people. I don't even go there.
we don't go there I go there if it's like a movie that I want to be wowed by. I want to experience it like on the bigger screen, and that was the reason why we saw 1917 there. I think the one before that was Aquaman, but I think my here's my thought on the price, and this may work, may not work out in like justifying it to distributors, but I would say instead, I know 48 hours is usually double of what it usually is. It's usually 24 hours, I think, or at least for on demand it is. For 19.99, I would say for maybe if the price increases maybe a little bit to make it, you own it, you're able to own it for maybe a week or a month. I would say increase maybe a little both things, because it puts less. You might be able to get more out of it, but also by still paying the price that the distributors seem to want. But you get more chances to view it. Sometimes you watch it the next day if you missed it or fell asleep or something.
Right, and
Um,
it's. I was gonna. Oh, do you stop? Yeah,
I still
I
have
was gonna.
things to say.
Okay, go ahead.
The thing with, now that these movies are basically brand new and coming out on streaming services and like on demand, all it takes is one person to pay the $20, record that because they have 48 hours. They can record that and basically just put it on the internet for free. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting piracy to go up
Yeah.
during these times, and it's a lot of money. That's a lot more money that movie companies are losing because of piracy. Not just the fact that theaters are shut right now, but they're gonna lose so much more profit due to piracy. Because
Yeah.
now you can just hook up a recording device to your cable box, boom, record the whole movie, post it on the internet.
Or just save it as file. I mean,
And
yeah.
I forgot to tell you, there has also been reports of AMC possibly closing its doors, but there are probably bankruptcy programs that are probably going to pull it out, because I have to say something that sounds a little bit too naive, but it kind of sounds a little true in a way. Movie theaters aren't going to completely go away, much like libraries don't completely go away. That's why we have, libraries all around the world. They may not be great, but at least we have them. Movie theaters are no exception. And and by the way, I don't know if you guys heard it, but Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney. Yeah, Bob Iger came back and took his job back because he has to save Disney from this hellhole. And that's
so
the
we
whole
so we
reason.
have to reverse the graphic of power from this man to this man back to this man.
Yes, basically.
Damn it!
I don't have that graphic anymore.
No, don't worry. I don't know. It's just it's a weird thing, but
It's
does
a
anyone
complicated
have
situation. End of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have anything else to say regarding this topic, or
Nope. But didn't you want to say something at the end of this?
did I?
I mean, well, with everything going on, the fact that you two are in college right now, and like, it's only a couple months before you're in quotes graduating. You guys have shit to do.
AKA
I see
being mailed our diploma.
So, guys, we have something that we want to talk about, and it's regarding our season. Considering that we are going to be very, very busy with...
well, they are, not me.
Well, we are. Cruz and I are going to be very, very busy working on projects, and because of this, we're going to be... April 26th will be our last show for the season. I know it sounds that we're cutting it a bit short, but unfortunately, just due to everything that's been going on,
there's nothing really coming out other than like maybe an album or two a week, maybe a bigger game, but there's no movies coming out. Everything's just slowed to a halt.
Yeah, everything's slowed to a halt. School has just been... school hasn't been, stopping anytime soon because we still have to do things over there and we still have to get all of that done. And it's just going to take a lot more time. And we just have a lot of stuff to do when we have a lot to get done. So it is sad to say that April 26th will be our last show for the season. We hope to return sometime, maybe even in the summer. Who knows? We made surprises before.
And while they're busy, I'll figure out some shit to do in the meantime, so you guys have some entertainment coming out at least once a week.
Yeah.
I have the perfect idea. Buy Final Fantasy VII on Steam and stream
Final
it.
Fantasy. It's not Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Come on. I'll buy it for you.
It's not going to be Final Fantasy. Again, I tell you, I can't get into JRPGs. I can't play them.
All right.
I think it's a consensus that we still... the regular show isn't going to be as viable because obviously mostly for movies has basically dead in the water. Games still happening but are slower. Music still happening. The only thing that's like really stopped is obviously concerts. But music is still coming out on like assigned dates. And some bands are even doing just live stream concerts from like some venue or something so that people can just watch online. I believe the consensus is that we still do we'll keep the channel being active in some way, whether it be just games or whatever little things we do. We hope obviously you understand why we have to do this, why we have to cut things short, because obviously a lot of other channels have to do it. Most of the channels, like we work from home anyways, so we will still be able to essentially do our functions as normal. It's just that the content is not really there for us to do like a full show and really talk extensively about things. But we will do our best to keep things, to keep something going for you. And we hope that you enjoy our show and are happy enough to subscribe and stuff,
Like, comment, and subscribe, or don't. We broadcast out of America. This is a free country. You can do what you want.
Ring the freedom bell.
We're not your dad.
You're not my dad.
But, yeah, that's it for this week. We will have a show next week, and after that, I might figure something out, because I got to keep myself busy somehow and not fucking explode. But, yeah, that's it for us this week. This is a short show. I think this is our shortest show. Like, it's not even a recent
super short show.
Anyway, guys, as always, my name is Scarfy.
I'm Naka.
And I'm Cruz.
And this has been Subway for Entertainment. We hope you have a wonderful and pleasant Sunday afternoon. Have a wonderful, good new week. Wonderful next new week. Stay awesome. Stay awesome. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Take care. Bye. Good morning. Cruz, say something. Say your good night. Say your goodbye.
Hello, Gordon.
Hello, Gordon.